Now at 5, we're going to check out another surprise reunion involving a local service member and his kids at school. Plus, how Crawford County is connecting local veterans with mental health resources, and
the president orders an additional strike on a target linked to Iran. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House with the message the administration says it's trying to send.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Students in Miami, Oklahoma today honored the men and women who put their lives on the line for our nation. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Roosevelt Elementary students took part in a program honoring veterans at the Coleman Theater. First, second, and third graders performed patriotic songs and recognized active duty service members and veteran family members. That's something the school's music teacher takes very personally.
I've got a lot of military members in my family, so it's something that I really take pride in. I spend a lot of time doing it as we get ready for the program. I ask everybody, send in your veterans. Doesn't have to be a military photo, just whatever photo you have. We want to honor them. And so I take the time to put it together, and I love it, and I think a lot of people think it's a great part of the day too.
This program is part of a week's worth of Veterans Day activities for the entire school district. And the program was especially meaningful to Sergeant Blake Byrne and his family. He surprised his 3 kids during a presentation by his oldest daughter after returning from a nearly year-long military deployment to Africa. He hadn't seen his kids since January 4th. For him, the feeling of being reunited is one hard to explain.
My heart was beating out of my chest and I was just shaking really bad, and just getting to see him for the first time was awesome. So.
Daddy, we worry about you.
You worried about me?
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm home now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, Sergeant Byrne is now going back to his civilian job as a teacher in the junior high. Crawford County Mental Health is also getting into the Veterans Day celebrations. The organization today hosted a lunch for veterans. It was more than a chance for the veterans to get a hot meal. The veterans also learned about mental health benefits that are part of the organization's Service Members, Veterans, and Family Members program.
A lot of people get out and they feel isolated and alone, and this starts to reconnect and show people that there's other people who are not connecting with others. It gives you the opportunity to start to build some of those relationships. And it gets the community involved and maybe lets the community see a little bit of what we're doing.
That lunch was at Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Well, it's definitely turned out to be a much cooler day for us today. High temps only into the 50s. We've had a lot of clouds, but we've ended up staying dry, which is, I guess, good. But our temperatures about almost 30 degrees cooler today compared to what we did see yesterday. Also, it's been a little bit breezy. We have those northeasterly winds, which are kicking in across the region at about 5 to 15. These are going to let up a little bit for us later on tonight, which is good. But we do have the clouds, and look at the rain. All this rain is just to our south. It's eastern Oklahoma, western parts of Arkansas, extreme southern Missouri, but it has stayed just south of the area. But we've been seeing the clouds throughout the daytime hours for us today. Now, those clouds will start to break up, but not till late tonight. Temperatures are going to drop back into the 40s, upper 30s for overnight lows. So the big question is, when are we going to warm up? We're going to look at that here in just a little bit.
See you soon. President Biden ordered more airstrikes on targets in Syria in retaliation for attacks on U.S. forces in Syria and Iraq, carrying out anti-terrorism activities. Reporter Natalie Brand has more details now from the White House.
The U.S. carried out airstrikes in eastern Syria on what the Pentagon says was a weapons storage facility used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard.
Mr. President, why did you strike Iran's Revolutionary Guard?
Because they struck us.
And President Biden, you plan to hit them again?
They struck us.
There have been at least 4 more attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria since the strike, resulting in what the Pentagon says are a few minor injuries. All of those hurt have returned to duty. From October 17th until now, Iranian-backed forces have carried out 46 attacks on U.S. bases. The Pentagon says it remains concerned about potential escalation in the region. The administration is trying to prevent that while also defending U.S. forces.
We're not looking for conflict with Iran. We've made that very clear, but we'll do what's necessary to protect our personnel be they military or civilian.
These attacks have been on the rise since the Israel-Hamas war began, with about half happening after the first U.S. airstrike in Syria on October 26th.
We have sent a strong signal, not just to Iran, but to other actors in the region, that we don't want to see this conflict with Hamas widen or deepen. And thus far, we haven't seen that happen.
The U.S. has increased its military presence in the Middle East for deterrence, in addition to the nearly 3,500 U.S. service members in Iraq and Syria as part of a coalition to defeat ISIS. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Pentagon says Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen shot down an American Reaper drone worth about $30 million. The Houthis claim the drone was in Yemeni airspace, but a U.S. defense official says the drone was in airspace over international waters. In a possible sign of progress in the conflict in the Middle East, Israel is agreeing to humanitarian pauses in its fight against Hamas. Israel agreed to daily 4-hour humanitarian pauses to allow Palestinians to move to safer territory. But the Prime Minister's office says this is not a ceasefire, which will only happen when the hostages seized in the October 7th rampage are released. The U.S. believes as many as 10 Americans are among the more than 200 hostages. Still ahead, an Arkansas man receives the first ever human eye transplant. Plus, the FDA approves a new drug designed to help with weight loss. Those stories next in Health. Topping today's Health Watch, the FDA has approved a new drug to help Americans lose weight, and it could hit the market later this year. The drug, called Zepbound, is a new formula of the popular diabetes drug Mounjaro. Doctors say it works by slowing digestion by having the brain think the stomach is full, thereby reducing appetite.
Patients using this medication saw weight loss, depending on if you had diabetes or not, anywhere from 16 to 22%. And so they applied for FDA approval, and we have Zepbound.
Common side effects include nausea, stomach pain, and indigestions. Drug maker Eli Lilly says a 6-week supply of the drug will cost more than $1,000. New research suggests having sensitivity to food allergens like dairy and peanuts could increase the risk of heart disease and cardiovascular death. The researchers at the University of Virginia Health System looked at thousands of adults. They say the increased risk is comparable to the risks posed by smoking. It's being hailed as a remarkable medical breakthrough. In May, a team of surgeons performed the first ever human eye transplant. It's part of a very complicated face transplant after the patient lost most of his face in a work-related accident. Dr. John LaPook is a professor of medicine at NYU Langone Health, where the transplant took place, and he has the story.
Aaron James has always been committed to his family, committed to his country, and committed to his career, helping to maintain America's power grid. But while doing that job on June 10, 2021, he accidentally touched a 7,200-volt power line. His wife, Megan, will never forget the call she got from his boss.
Aaron's been in an accident. I said, is he okay? And he said, it's pretty serious.
Doctors did all they could to save her husband of 20 years. His left arm had to be amputated above the elbow. He also lost his left eye.
And when you saw his face unbandaged for the first time?
I just took a deep breath and I said, all right, this is what we're dealing with.
Let's go 3. Good. All right.
The Arkansas native also lost his nose and front teeth, so he agreed to undergo a partial face transplant, including the world's first transplant of a donor's eye.
So then when you suggested doing an eye transplant and you spoke to ophthalmologists or neurologists or your colleagues, what did they say?
It's not possible. It's not going to work.
Dr. Eddie Rodriguez and his team at NYU Langone Health spent 21 hours transferring the donor's face, eye socket, and the eye itself to James. A huge challenge was providing blood flow to the transplanted eye.
It was an exhilarating moment to just see that blood supply coming to the retina.
It's been just over 5 months since the eye and face transplant.
You have some trouble speaking still, right? Does it seem to be getting better?
Yes, it is getting better until I can get some feeling in my lips and get my jaw to open more and get some teeth.
You also have a lot of things that are working a lot better than before.
Yes, everything. It just blows my mind.
A huge question remained. Would light shined into the transplanted eye be recognized by the part of his brain that processes vision? To find out, James has had 2 functional MRIs.
And we saw a response back there. Point to where you feel it.
Dr. Vedahi Dadanya is his eye specialist.
Is it possible that the brain could rewire itself in a different way to be able to actually see an image?
I never say never.
Whether or not he will ever see out of his new eye, Aaron James is committed once again, this time to advancing medical science.
If me doing it first kickstarts it, I'm all for it.
Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, New York.
The donor was a man in his 30s who not only gave Aaron James a chance at a more normal life, but helped 3 other people by donating his kidneys, liver, and pancreas. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, another expensive home ownership.
The price of insuring a home is on the rise. I'm Christian Benavides, and I'll tell you why.
Well, it's definitely turned out to be a much cooler day for us today. We've had the clouds all day long. You can see a nice shot of downtown Joplin Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex Tower Cam. It's been windy and almost 30 degrees cooler this afternoon compared to what we have seen over the past couple days. We've had some really nice conditions over the past day or two, really about 3 or 4 days. All right, it's Thursday, our new drought tracker. It comes out every Thursday. You can see along and south of I-44. Looks pretty good. We're not even dry anymore. Now, once you get from Joplin to Pittsburgh, it is dry, but our severe drought still is kind of up toward Nevada, but it also has gotten better over the past couple of weeks. So we put a pretty good dent into the drought due to the rain that we picked up over the past month or so. All right, let's go outside. It's much cooler. It's 53 in Stockton, 54 in Anderson, 54 in Bonita. Chanute is sitting at 55 degrees. We have those northeasterly winds kicking in, but it looks okay. Currently 52 with those northerly winds. It makes it feel just a little bit cooler outside compared to what we have seen over the past couple days. Now, these winds, they will start to calm down a little bit. It's going to take through the overnight hours for us tonight, but it's not going to be near as breezy as we go through the next couple days, which is good. And our temperatures, they will start to rebound a little bit. Not this evening. We slide back through the 40s, eventually into the upper 30s a little bit later on tonight. We do have the clouds. We've had some showers in our far southern counties. Most of this has not even been reaching the ground. It's been evaporating before it's even hit the surface, but the areas that are getting the rain is down across southern Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, and pretty much a good chunk of the state of Arkansas. But again, this is staying just south. All we are seeing from this is the clouds, and that's what we're going to have as we go through the overnight hours tonight. And then we'll break out and see sunshine once again tomorrow. But look at the rain tracking east, northeast, so it's staying south of the region. And if we look out toward the west, we do have another little wave pushing into the Pacific Northwest. But again, it's not a big system, so we don't have any big systems that are going to affect us as we go through the next several days. All right, let me walk you through time. We're going to stop tomorrow morning. Temperatures mainly sitting upper 30s, so it's going to be quite a bit cooler than what we have seen. We're going to go into the mid-50s by noon, and then check this out. Most of us will top out 60 to about 62 for us tomorrow. So it is going to be a little bit warmer than what we did see today. Partly cloudy skies for us tomorrow night. We drop back upper 30s once again. Then as we head into Saturday, not bad. Partly sunny skies, high temps right around 60 once again. Here's your Friday day planner. 46 in the morning, 61 by 1, 56 by 5 p.m. So overall, pretty good day. And we can even look into the weekend. 60 on Saturday, 65 on Sunday. Great fall-like weather. A little chilly during the overnights, but mild and pretty much sunny days for Saturday and Sunday. 62 on your Friday, 60 on Saturday, 65 on Sunday, up to 68s Monday and Tuesday. So we do start to warm things back up. I really don't see much in the way of a chance for showers until maybe late Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. But until then, we're looking pretty good.
Doug, thanks. Coming up, Hollywood actors are off the picket line as their union reaches a tentative agreement with major studios. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a tentative deal is reached between actors and major film and television studios, possibly ending the strike that clobbered the entertainment industry. Union officials say the tentative agreement will, quote, enable SAG-AFTRA members from every category to build sustainable careers, end quote. The actors walked off the set July 14th with numerous complaints toward the Hollywood brass, including the use of artificial intelligence. Initial jobless claims are holding steady. According to today's data from the Labor Department, there were 217,000 first-time claims for unemployment benefits during the week that ended on November 4th. Meanwhile, the number of continuing claims, which are filed by people who have received unemployment benefits for more than 1 week, rose to 22,000 from the previous week's downwardly revised level. Home insurance rates nationwide have jumped 19% over the past 5 years. That's according to the insurance site Value Penguin. But people in states at risk of extreme weather are seeing a much larger jump. Reporter Cristian Benavides tells us what some homeowners are doing to avoid the high costs.
Greg Wise realizes living in Florida means the possibility of seeing a hurricane, but he was shocked when he saw the premium for his home insurance double.
Our windstorm insurance went from $10,000 a year, and then when it came up for renewal, my agent quoted me $20,000.
Other homeowners are paying even more. In the past 5 years, average home insurance premiums in the Sunshine State have tripled, with no relief in sight. People with a mortgage have to have insurance, so Weiss, who is also the mayor of Palm Beach County, chose to do what many of his constituents are doing. He paid off his mortgage and dropped his insurance completely.
So it makes more sense to pay off the home than to keep the insurance because of the cost of it.
I mean, if you think about it, $20,000 a year, we've never had a claim.
It's not just Florida. Homeowners in states across the country are seeing their insurance rates go up. California and other states at risk of wildfires are also seeing steep increases, with rates quadrupling in certain areas, and some insurance companies are dropping homeowners completely.
So as long as insurance companies are not successful financially in these markets, they're going to pull out.
Oscar Sicali runs an insurance brokerage in Florida.
Have you ever seen the market the way that it is right now?
Never. In my 35 years in business, I have never seen the market the way it is right now.
Sicali says higher rebuilding costs and more frequent extreme weather events are likely to make the situation even worse. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Some encouraging news now for potential home buyers. Mortgage rates tumbled this week in the biggest one-week drop since last November. It's the second week that rates have decreased after rising for 7 consecutive weeks. According to data from Freddie Mac, the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage fell to an average of 7.5% in the past week. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, a look at the newest and final addition to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. And then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the reunion between a National Guard member and his kids in Miami, Oklahoma. Plus, we're going to hear from some elderly veterans looking back on their time in the military. And we're going to hear from the first head coach of Pitt State's new women's soccer program. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Hey, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, all you have to do is download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge, Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Just search for KOAM News app. Let's check in now with Doug Hetty for our final look at the forecast.
Well, it's going to be a colder night for us tonight. We do have the clouds. We'll drop back upper 30s for overnight lows, but we'll start to clear out late tonight. Partly sunny tomorrow, 62. Friday looks pretty good. Hair cooler Saturday, high of 60. Back to 65 on Sunday, and then look at this. We push 70 by Monday and Tuesday, but mainly dry as we go through the next 4 or 5 days.
Thanks, Doug, and thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.